Okay, we meet again. Parshas Pinchas. Now it's the July 1st, Thursday. Let us give a shir on Pinchas. You know that it's the name of a person, Pinchas. The last week's Parsha was also named of a person, Balak. And in fact, there's 6 sedras in the Torah that are named for people. 4 of them were tzaddikim, and 2 of them were rishoyim. 4 and 2. What are the 6 names? Well, in the beginning, one was Noach, he was a tzaddik. Then Chayesora, and then comes Yisro, and then comes Pinchas. There are 4 tzaddikim. The 2 Rishayim were Korach, name of the Sedrum, and Balak. Now we have the Parsha of Pinchas. Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen, Tzaddik ben Tzaddik ben Tzaddik. Already a chazak of 3 daughters of tzaddikim. Aaron made shalom by being nice, and Pinchas made shalom by assassinating somebody. There's 2 ways to get shalom: either the civil way or the violent way. And Hashem blesses Pinchas. Nasati brisi shalom. I'm going to give him a bris of shalom. Every single Kohen on earth comes from that one man, Pinchas, because Aaron had 4 sons, 2 died, and the other one was Isamar. We don't know much about him, but Elazar, that's Pinchas' grandfather. Pinchas, that's his father. Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen. So what Aaron did was lishma all his life to bring shalom. Therefore, more people mourned for him than mourned for Moshe, because it says by Aaron when he was nifter, they were mourned for him kol beis Yisrael, and by Moshe it's only beis Yisrael. Because they loved Aaron more. He was a very quiet, humble, tzaddik tomim, the first Kohen Gadol, and he was a most holiest man in the world, but not fit to be a manhig. To be a manhig, you have to be more tough than nice. Aaron was nicer than tough. You have to be not hard, because it says in the Gemara somewhere, if everybody loves you, if you're the head of a town, you're Rosh Yeshiva, the Gadol Hadar, if everybody loves you, it's no for sure you're not successful, man. Because you have to have some people that oppose you, like Moshe had Dosim Aviram and Korach. Because if everybody feels you're a nice man and you do what everybody wants, you're definitely not a leader, because Talmud Chacham she'ein kosher kabar zel ain't a Talmud Chacham. Some people have to dislike you because your shitas are iron, and you don't give in to anybody, and no pressure. So Dosan Aviron hated Moshe, Zimri at the one moment hated Moshe, Korach. So if everybody loves you, you're a politician. That means by definition you don't tell the truth. Kol Talmud Chacham she'ein kosher kabar zel ain't a Talmud Chacham. So they forced Aaron to make the egel. When Moshe came down, nobody messed with Moshe, because he's Midas Hadin, and Aaron is Midas Rachman. Moshe represents Tosha B'Ksav, Midas Hadin, and Aaron represents Midas Rachman, Tosha B'Alpeh. That's why in the Tosha B'Alpeh it always says, when it wants to say Hashem said, it says Rachman Omar. That's Midas Rachman. You know, it says you're Mechal Shabbos, you're Chaim Misa, but when you get to Bezdin, they'll say you're Mechal Shabbos. Did you know the dinim of Shabbos? Were you aware? Oh, you didn't know about it. You did it in a moment of anger. Eventually, you're put, because they try every way to get you off of the being guilty. The purpose of a Bezdin is to try to free you, to make you zakai, not chai. Because if Hashem wants to get you, He doesn't need a Bezdin like that. If He wants to get you. But we have a job to do, so very few people in the history of the world were ever executed by Bezdin. Kol Bezdin she'nerag echad once in 7 or 70 years is called the Bezdin of Chabolim, terrorist Bezdin. Rabbi Akiva said, if I was on a Bezdin, I wouldn't execute anybody, ever. So it gives example in the Gemara. Reuben saw Shimon kill Levi. Reuben and Shimon saw Levi kill Yehuda. So they asked, the Dayan asked Reuben and Shimon to eat him. You saw him to kill him? When? Where? What time of the day it was? What color pants was he wearing? Under the apple tree? How big were the apples? They'd make it in such a way you can never make the man guilty. Because their job of Bezdin is to try to get you off the hook. So Moshe was a Midas Hadin. When he came down the next day after they did the Egel, which Aaron gave in, so he lost two sons, and he lost two sons, which says in Devarim that one of the Hashmid Aaron, or the Hashmido. God wanted to destroy Aaron, totally his family, everybody. So he took two sons. Because Moshe and Aaron should have said, Avodah one of the Shlim Gimel Chamuros. Could have given his life. Should have given his life like his nephew. Like his grandson. Chur gave his life. So he says, well, if they don't have a Kohen Gadol, they kill me, they won't have a Kohen Gadol. They don't have a Kohen Gadol, then on Yom Kippur their Averos are not forgiven. That is not a good cheshbon. He was punished for that. But Malkum Chil Hashem, Ein Mechabdin Kovel Rab. Don't show any a covet for a Rab or for yourself if you're the Kohen Gadol. And he made, but Moshe Rabbeinu, they wouldn't fool around with him. He came down the next day on the Shivos of B'Tammuz. They smashed the luchos without asking Hashem, because they knew Hashem would agree to it. And he grabbed the egel, and it was alive. Och shar ochel esav, a golden shar that was eating grass, because the Har Sinai had grass around it. And he grabbed it and it dropped dead. And then he took it and ground it up into gold dust, made everybody drink spring water with gold dust to see if they were loyal, faithful to Hashem or not. Like an unfaithful wife, you make her drink water with dust of the Beis Medrash floor, of the Mishkan floor, and her eyes pop out. If she is lying, she had an affair while she's married. If she admits it, the marriage is dissolved. But if she doesn't admit it, and the waters check her out that she's a sota, the water will blow her stomach, expand her stomach, and her eyes will pop out. So Moshe made everybody drink this water with the gold dust of the egel in it, and if the eyes were popping out, he said to his whole Shevet Levi came, other people too, but the whole Shevet Levi, and he says, kill him. So 3,000 people killed one day. Moshe is not Midas Arachim. Moshe is Midas Adin. You be a manhig, you got to be tough, tougher than nice. So Kol Beis Yisrael was mourned for Aaron, but Beis Yisrael only for Moshe. Now we get to this Pinchas. Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron the Kohen. Pinchas was a young man, I don't know, 18 or 20 years old. He saw the head of the tribe of Shimon called Zimri ben Salu, or as he's known as Shlumiel ben Sri Shadoi, that he has mizana with a woman. He picked up this woman that was the daughter of Bullock. Sur, that's Bullock. And he said to Moshe, picked up out of here, Zu Asura, Zu Lo, Zu Muteris. Is this woman mutter or asur? Of course, Moshe didn't answer anything. Rashi said, if you say she's asur, who permitted you to marry your wife, which is also a Midiani? Does she have cloven hooves? Which means, is she kosher and this one not? Why? Now, Moshe didn't answer that because Zimri was a very smart man. He was the head of 59,000 people in Shimon. If you say she's asur, who permitted you to marry your Midiani? Of course, he doesn't know what he's talking about. The format in Torah, you can marry anybody. Number two, he was Magai to the Shev Mrs. B'nai Noach. So what kind of question is this? Zimri's not an Amoris. He's angry. He caught him, though they have to say something. So Vayar Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron Kohen, he saw this. Not a chereb, a romach, which is the gematria ramach evarim. He knew that when he killed this man, the nasi of Shimon called Zimri, he knows he's going to get killed in a second. You think 59,000 people are going to just watch this? Their nasi gets executed, assassinated, and they don't do anything? You think they're going to tolerate that? He didn't care. He was moise nefesh. All his remach evarim, 248 evarim. And the gematria of Pinchas is exactly the gematria of Yitzchak 208. Yitzchak, 37-year-old man, also allowed his father to slit his throat, which he didn't do. The last second, Amal was told not to. But he was Moshe all of his 248 evarim. So therefore, the gematria of Pinchas is like Yitzchak. He was also Moshe Nefesh 208. Both of them. He was ready to give his life. I didn't care. And so he came to Moshe Rabbeinu while this is going on. People are dying. 24,000 people died. First Hashem said to Moshe, take all the shoftim, all the judges, which is 78,600, and each one kill 2 people. That's 157,000 people. That's not literal. Because if you have 600,000 men, the bulk of Klal Yisrael, the men between 20 and 60, well, a quarter of 600,000 is 150, and this is 157,000. You mean you wiped out more than a quarter of Klal Yisrael? You mean that's what you did? So Ramban said nobody can get killed. So what happened? A plague came, and 24,000 people died. 24,000 in a plague, very quick. So Hashem told, so it had to stop that. Zimri saw this going on. So he took up a romach, a spear, and he went after the perpetrator, the head of the tribe of Shimon, 59,000 people in his Shevet, Zimri ben Solom, and he was at that moment having relations with Kozbi bas Tsur. Tsur is another name for Balak. And he pierced them from as Zimri from the back through the Zachrus and into the Nakvus of Kozbi. Can you imagine? B'shas Ma'isa, because he came to Moshe Rabbeinu, said, Moshe Rabbeinu, when you came down from Sinai, didn't you teach us the whole Tosha V'Ksav, Tosha B'al Peh? Isn't one of the dinim is Haboil Aramis, if you have relation with a Goyish woman, Kanoi Pogimbo, a Kanoi can stick him, kill him on the spot without a bezin. He said, yep. So he said to Moshe, no, look what's going on. He says, Kraine Le'ikrasa, you read the letter. Why don't you deliver it? I'm not going to paskin any shalos here. I'm not a Sanhedrin here. And besides, he couldn't paskin. You know why? Moshe is nogeya b'dover. Moshe is subjective. Why couldn't he paskin? Why? Because Zimri insulted him barabim. He grabbed this woman by the hair. It says, Zu asura o muteres. Is she asur or muter? She insulted Moshe barabim. So Moshe is nogei b'dover. He's really subjective. He can't do anything because people would say, nekama, revenge. How do you know it's purely L'Shem Shemaim? Your personal is not involved. You can't get involved. Therefore, another man who we never heard of before, Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen, gets up, not involved in this at all. He says, Moshe, look what's going on. He says, you read the letter, deliver it. If you want to do it, you do it. Maybe after it's over, maybe you're a murderer, maybe you're a tzaddik. So that was last week's Seder. This week's Seder, Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen, God said, he saved returned my anger and saved all of Klal Yisrael. Therefore, every single coin in the world comes from him, and he's going to have the bris shalom. That's the way you make peace sometimes, by killing the perpetrator. The highest thing is shalom. How do you get peace? By being nice. Okay, that's Aaron. Sometimes by being not nice. By killing someone. And both of them meant L'Shem Shemaim. That's why both of them are tzaddikim. So, he killed Zimri and Kozbi at the same time. So let's take a look at the Seder. Do you know that Pinchas is spelled Pei, Yud, Nun, Ches, Saf, Samach? Do you know that the Yud, which is the smallest letter in the Aleph Beis, here is written even smaller? It's called Yud Ze'iro, a little Yud. Well, why? Why should Yud be smaller? Why? Well, why the first word of the Torah, this Bereshit, Beis have to be bigger? Why? And why is Vayikra and the Sefer Yikra, the last letter Aleph is small? And why over in this Seder, a few pages later, where the daughters of Tzalafcha came, Moshe brought their mishpatan, their mishpat to God. Why is it long nun? And why is Gochon long vav? Hey. All through Tanakh, you'll find of the 22 letters of Aleph Beis, every one of them is either jumbo, called Rabasi, or very small, Ze'iro. 22 letters, somewhere in Tanakh, a lot of places in Chumash, but throughout Tanakh, you'll find 22 jumbo size and mini size. There's a reason for those things. Everything has a reason. So this is where you have a little yud, and a few pages later you have a jumbo size nun. Everything has a reason. Why a little yud? It says Olam Haba was made with a yud, and this world was made with a hey. We call Hashem Yud-Kei Sur Olamim, the rock of both worlds. So Yud is Olam Haba because it's a very small letter. Very few people get there, and this world is made with a Hey. You know why? A Hey and a Ches look the same, except the Hey has a break on the top, which means you put the Hey down on the line. You can come from underneath if you're a Chota and get out to the corner and go to Shemai and be about Tshuva. But if you don't do tshuva, you're a chota, ches. You're blocked in Gehenna. You're done. So that's why this world you have a chance to do tshuva. Next world you can't do tshuva. It's done. You're cemented forever in a certain form. So Yud here, we're trying to say like this. Yud, no one knew about Pinchas. He was the most modest of men. He was a tremendous tzaddik, because you couldn't do this unless you're a tzaddik. He was a tzaddik amongst tzaddikim. Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron, 3 generations of tzaddikim. He was a tzaddik, and not such a tzaddik, even the small, you couldn't even know who he was. He was purely L'Shem Shamayim. Otherwise, he would have any negi of subjectivity, be a murderer. Even though you do God's wishes, there's a little bit of subjectivity that you're not Lishmo. That's why when Yaakov's daughter was Ma'anes, Dina, he didn't do anything until the boys came home. Because Yaakov said, made markets for them when he came back to Shem, where did he come back to? I think he came back to, I don't know where he came back to, he was at Lavan. He set up for them markets. He minted coins, he set up guilds, unions, and marketplace, set up the whole business. And then they go, and the Ma'anis' daughter, he felt Negei B'Dover, they don't appreciate me. So he did nothing because he's Negei B'Dover. If he will take revenge, he'll say, see, it's revenge. Look what he did. He did so much for the community, and now they did something against him. He took revenge. No, it can't be revenge. It has to be purely L'Shem Shamayim. So the 10 boys, the 12 boys, they came back and they said, what? Our sister? So they wiped out the whole town of Shechem. That was Shechem, yeah. The whole town of Shechem. Wiped it all out. Yaakov, when he died, says, I don't like the way you did it. Yeah, he did Chaim Misa, but what's this thing? Tell him to have a bris milah. A guy has a bris milah, doesn't make you a yid. You can have 50 bris milah, it doesn't make you a yid. That's only a technicality. You go to the mikveh, have a bris milah. That's not doing it. You have to be makabel, all malchut shemayim, all the mitzvahs, no exceptions. Then you have to go through a technicality called bris. And a woman goes to the mikveh. That's how you go to Gavus. But the Iker Zach is makabel, all the mitzvahs, without any exception. Carte blanche. So, he didn't do anything, Yaakov, because he's not gave it over. Subjective. Same thing over here. So, he returned my fury. When he was a zealot for my zealousness, he was a kanoi for my kanos. The socham amongst them. So my father explained the socham. What do you mean amongst them? Didn't you say last week's parsha? He got up the sochag. And here's mitocham again. You know why? They all knew this halacha boil ramas kanaim pogabo. He was the only one amongst them that took action. They all knew this, and they were crying when they were in the end of last week's seder. They're crying because this man had insulted Moshe Rabbeinu. They know he's going to die. They know something terrible is going to happen. So the socham amongst them. But what made Pinchas different than any single person? Now, Rabbi, I'm going to tell you something that's going to blow your mind. He says, Zochar, it says he remembered halacha and he took action. When he learned that halacha, Pinchas, he learned it, even the learning was kanoi. When he learned it, he says, "Aboil aramas kanoim boy," and he know if you're boil, you have a relation with a Goyish woman, kanoim bo gimbo, kanoim can kill you on the spot without a bedroom. So he's saying there is a concept that goes for everybody. He learned it with such kanos. When he learned it, he knew that b'mokum chil Hashem emechavnin kavod l'rav. You show no for respect, even for a rav. When he learned it, he said, if even Moshe Rabbeinu would do this, I'd kill him. Aha! You're the one that really learned it correctly. You learned it bit kanoi, so now you're the one who can fulfill it. And he killed this man. And how did he get in there? It says he went into the headquarters of Shimon, and he took this sword, he took the blade off of the wood, he had a long pole, and the blade was, and took out the blade, and put it in his boot, under his pants. And then he had this cane, and he went over to the remember he's from the Cohen's family, he went over to the tent of Zimri. He says, listen, after Zimri with that woman, let me go in there too, I want to have a little fun too. So they said, ooh, let him in, because he represents Aaron, the kahuna. If we got him, we got everybody. So he went in like an old man, bent over, older man, and when he got in, they closed the door behind him. He took out the blade, stuck it onto the sword, and of course, Zimri was involved with her, and he said, ready to kill her, and he stuck them through both, killed them both simultaneously. So the Medrash says that he was ready to stick them, pierce them both. He had finished already, Pinchas. And you can't do that after it finished. The second later is too late. He says, I want you to kill me at Kiddush Hashem. Because it was such a, you calm down after you finish, fulfill all your kataiva. He says, I want you to kill me, so it'll be a Kiddush Hashem. So he killed him. He wanted to kill him. Medrash. Some say you can't do that after the Maisa, only B'Shas Maisa. But there's such a Medrash. I want to die Kiddush Hashem. I realize now it's the worst thing in the world. If you don't kill me with this Misa Meshuna, I'm going to have no Olam Haba. So he killed him B'Shas Maisa, or right after, or maybe he told him during the Maisa, and he killed him. 10 or 12 Nisim happened. He picked them up, and the people could see what they were doing. He showed all the people, look at what they were doing. When a man's on top of a woman, you stick him like that and turn it like that. The woman's on top, but Hashem made it nice, the man was on top. And no blood dropped onto Pinchas because he would have been tummy. No blood. It's a nace. 10 or 12 nisim happened at that moment. He took him outside the tent, and the top of the tent, was kind of low, so it went high, so he could get him out. It was, the spear didn't break. 200 people, 2 people, 200 pounds each, I don't know, 150 each, 300 pounds, There were 10 or 12 nisim that happened at that moment with Pinchas. And let's see what Hashem rewards him. But kind of as Kenosi, there's certain letters in the Torah that have tagin on top. Most of them don't. Some of them, shatniskats, they have 3. And what's the other one? Bedek Bayis or something has 1. Most have none. But none of those letters, shatniskats and something Bayis, none have a kuf. Here the kuf has tagin on both of them. Kano Kenosi, 2 kufs have tagin, 3 on tag on top. That's exception to the rule. Why? Kuf is 100. This man, every gadol is considered 100 amos tall. That means, mushroom, very tall, very good, very big. This man could have been a big man, but now he turned into nothing, a Rosh Gomor. For that reason, Chazal tell us, never in the history of the world did any gadol come out of Shimon or Reuven. Shimon, no, he can't be a Malach, can't be that we know, it's from Yehuda, can't be a Navi, a Kohen that comes from Levi. But no Shofet, no Navi, no Dayan, nobody big came out of Shimon ever. And Reuven, because they had the 2 scoundrels there, Dosan and Abiram, and they didn't take care of him, the shade of Reuven. Nobody ever came out of Reuven. But Reuven, the original Reuven, was the first Baal Tshuva in the world. So you think maybe Chaim was the first Baal Tshuva? Didn't he say to Hashem, Gadol, Avonim, and so? But he didn't stay a Baal Tshuva, he became evil then. But Reuven remained a Baal Tshuva forever and ever, and that's why and because he lost all 3 things, Kahuna, Malchus, and Pishanayim. Triple header, he lost. He remained a Baal Tshuva. But because they had Dosim and Aviram, that Reuven and Shimon never produced any Gedol Yisrael. I didn't wipe out the Jewish people with 2 yuds. I could have wiped them out twice by the Egel and now, but you saved it. Moshe saved it by the Egel, and Pinchas saved it now. Therefore, Emor say, Hineni knows and lo is brisi shalom. I'm giving him my piece of shalom. My piece of shalom. Here, the only letter in the Torah, the word shalom with a vav, the only letter in the Torah, vav, the only letter in the Torah that's kosher, even though it's broken in the middle, it has no ink. It's called vav ketiyah, a cut vav. So if there's a cut, it's not a vav. Shin lamed mem means shalem, complete. You want to make it complete again? You want to put the vav in there, make it complete? That is when the vav goes back to Eliyahu. It was taken by Yaakov. One time it's written with a vav, Yaakov. Yaakov took it as a mashkin that Eliyahu Navi is going to come. So when Eliyahu Navi comes back, he's going to take away from Yaakov with the extra vav and give it back to Eliyahu, and he'll become Eliyahu. Remember, Pinchas is Eliyahu. Eliyahu is the Gilgal of Pinchas. Therefore, Shalom, the cut vav, means that it'll be shalem when Mashiach comes. So this is the only place in the Torah where you have a letter that has ik missing in the middle. There's few other exceptions in the Torah about things. There's only one place in the Torah where one letter is a word. In Hazinu, Ha Hashem Tignu those. I think it's those are bracha. Hey is one letter. Yeah, you have things like this. All right. Salo Lazaro should be to him and his children. Acharav bris kahunas olam, a bris of kahuna forever. Every single coin comes from Pinchas. He was jealous for God. He atoned for the whole Bnei Yisrael. And the name of the man that was smitten, killed, that was smitten as Hamidyanis, which means with the Midyanis. Zimri ben Solo was his name. This Nasi the base of, he's a Nasi of the Shevet, Nasi the prince of the base of the Shimoni, of the Shimon family. And it says at the end of this week's Pasha, and not last, right later, 59,000. But when all these people died, 24,000, mostly from Shimon, and they counted up Shimon again, turned a few pages, you'll see that from 59,000 they went down to 22,000. That's a loss of 37,000. 37,000. Well, 59,000 almost 60, and a half of 60 is 30. It's more than 50% from Shimon. And Meshem Ha'isha, the name of the woman, Mukha, that was smitten, Hamidyanis, the Midianite, Kozbi Bas Sur, her name is Kozbi Bas Sur. Sur is Balak, really, another name. Rosh Umos, base of the head of the nations of the base of Midian, the Midianites. Who? She was. Torture the Midianites, torture them, kill them, wipe them out. He keeps them with someone, smite them. They are your tormentors. Because look how many Jews that died, 24,000. Because they had this, Bilam said, listen, I tried 3 times to curse somebody, came out as a bracha. But I tell you, this is my personal answer to you, Bullock. Bring in the girls, let them do Zunus, and their God hates Zunus, and he'll kill them. So the answer worked. And they brought in the Moabite girls and the Midianite girls because Balak is the king of Moab, and Midian was the country next to Moab. Today it's called Saudi Arabia. Midian. So why he says just smite the Midianites and not the Moabites? Hashem says let the Moabites live a few hundred years, because I have to free those 2 pigeons I have to bring out from that nation. Can't wipe them out yet. Rus, because of Rus, a Moabite. From her comes Mashiach, and from Namo Hamidyanis, Namo and Ammon and Moab, their brothers, Lot's 2 children, Ammon and Moab. So their cousin, the brother Ammon and Moab were brothers. Ammon means this woman, what's her name? Na'amoho Ammonis, that's Shlomo's one of Shlomo's wives. She was the mother of Rechavam ben Shlomo, the weakling king. Wasn't bad, he was weak, simple. Rechavam ben Shlomo, that was his mother's Namo Hamonis, so don't wipe out Ammon and Moab. Those are cousins. Moab, because Rus has to come from them, who's going to marry Boaz, who has Obed, who has Yishai, who has David, Shlomo, Mashiach. Later on we'll wipe them out. David takes care of that. And Namo Hamonis, because there's one of the wives of Shlomo, it's called Namo Hamonis, Ammon and Moab were brothers, remember? And she's the mother of Rechavam and Shlomo. And from Rechavam and Shlomo, the 10 Shvatim went up to Shomron, made a breakaway government. Eventually Sancheiriv drove them out of the country, and they just gone, the 10 Shvatim are gone forever. So we today are only made up of Reuven, of Yehuda and Benjamin and Levi. 3 12s. Imagine 3 a quarter. If we have 3 times more than that, we have 15 million. It would be 45 million plus 15 would be 60 million people, not 15 million. Anyhow, so how do you torture them? There's 3 things about Tzoror HaMidyanim. 1, The Chol Shar, almost all other nations that you attack, you always surround them in 3 directions and let them escape if they want from one direction. If they want to fight, if it's Eretz Yisrael, you can't take any captives. You got to wipe them out. But we let them escape. But them, you have to surround them in 4 directions. Don't let them escape. No escape possible. Number 2, you give every nation you attack a chance to make shalom and surrender. For them, no. Number 3, mutter lechros, atzei peiros, oklos. For no nation that you attack can you cut down a fruit tree. It's called Baal Tashchis. Not even for building the Mishkan was made out of evergreens. The Mishkan also is ateshitim, which is a type of cedar. You cannot cut down a fruit tree for anything. But for them, yes. But to destroy and surround and wipe out Midyan, mutter lechros, atzei peiros. Fruit trees, Ilane Peiros, Lahashmid Midyan, to wipe them out. There's no Isra of Baal Tashchis. Isra of Baal Tashchis ain't no Geab Khan, does not apply here. Can you imagine? Because they tricked you. What did they trick you? They said like this, they let the beautiful women come in and amongst Klal Yisrael, and they're fully clothed, and they have this, they were selling fur and material, and they showed them beautiful materials and velvets and furs, and they say, you want to see more of the goods that I have, come into my tent. And then she unwrapped herself, and there she was naked. So they got attached to that, and the girl said, you want me? No, not me, till you bow down to that pa'ar. Avodas ha-pa'ar is not bowing down. The pa'ar, Baal pa'ar, was avodah zarah that had a filthy, dirty religion. Mefo'arin, they defecated on the idol, because that was the avodah, to show you give your whole inside kishkas over to that god. That was their type of religion. So the Yidden said, oh sure, we loved them, avaza avodah zarah. They didn't know that is the derech. You do it even for the goyim. So they defecated, evacuated their bowels to that pa'ar, filthy, dirty religion. And they said, my God certainly likes this when you have vaza avodah zarah, but they didn't know that zuhi avodah, so that's how you do it. And they did it. Then they got the girls. So the girls, the ikar zach by them was avodah zarah, not the znus. By the men, the ikar zach was the znus, not the avodah zarah. So the Yidden did avera, but they did the works of avera because every guy is mechuyev to believe in God. Therefore, tzror hamidyanim, wipe them out. Moab is coming 300 years later, and David takes care of that. Alright. So, Remheim lechem nichlem with their tricks. Asher niklu lechem al devar pa'ar, because the pa'ar, that religion, Baal. You can change the bay to a fey. It says, people know grammar, foul. P-H-A-L. This is a short version of Aver Shel Adam. That's how they reword that part of that religion. Someone to say foul pa'ar. Baal pay and fey you can switch because it comes from the same group of letters. Bumaf. The Osius have Sfosayim. Bumaf, Beis, Vav, Mem, Fey. Anyhow, look at Ibn Ezra Hirsch and all these people who know grammar. Al-Davar Cosby was Nasi Midian Achosam, their sister. Because once Pinchas killed Zimri, they're going to avenge their sister. Like when you meet your friend, you say, hi, brother. Or Nevi'im talk to anyone, Talmidim as Banai, my children. Like when people meet each other, they say, hi, bro. Bro is a brother. That was their sister. They're going to take revenge because what he did to her, the Balak's daughter, Sur's Balak, Mukabiyam gave those kids in the time of the Magefa. The Varpar because of Pa'ar, but he actually had Magefa, and it was after the Magefa. Now here's one of the 2 places in the Torah, you have a Piskov Emsa HaPosik, a stop in the middle of the Posik. How can you stop in the middle of the Posik? And after the word, V'yaka Magefa is a pay. Stop, finish, new subject. It's the same Posik though. Here. Vayhi Yacharei Magefa. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe Ve'el Elazar Ben Aaron HaKohen Lemor. So how can you have a pay in the middle of a pasuk if the pasuk didn't end? Answer is Vahi Yachem Magefo. Immediately when Aaron Pinchas kills Zimri, that second the Magefo stopped. That's why it's a Pisko of Emsa pasuk. Stop in the middle of a stop. It stopped instantly. I want to show you how instantly it stopped when he killed that man. So therefore, some say that they didn't kill 157,000 because there were 78,000 judges. Each one had to kill 2. That's 157,000. They were Chaim, but they didn't kill him. And then they say the Magekas killed 24,000. Some say the Ramban says nobody died except Zimri. Okay, different drushes. And how come it was 24,000? Why did you come up with the number 24,000? How come all these disasters are always 24? How come Rabbi Akiva has 24,000 students that died, and here's 24,000? So many times in Tanakh you have the word 24,000. Is that a mashal? Or is that a actual? Maybe it was 50,000, maybe it was 5,000. But why do you say 24,000? You know, every time Jews get tzaras in this world, the Rashi says by the Egel, it's 1/24 of the Egel. Every time tzaras comes to the world, it's for Eden, it's 1/Chamdalet of the ownership of the Egel, 1/24. Again, the same 24. Where do you get that? Why is so through Tanakh is often 24,000? Is that real? Or is that a mashal? Rabbi Akiva, 24,000, not 25,000, not 16,000. I mean, is that really an actual literal? Or is that maybe hinting to something? How come it always come out the same number? And if you do that, if you get punished, it's always a 24th of the Egel. Why not 26th? Hashem's name is Yud Kei Vav Kei at 26th, maybe. Maybe we could say this. Any violation of a principle in the Torah, like Znus, or Egel, or not showing respect to each other, Talmidei Rabbi Akiva, which is a fundamental basis, Derech Eretz Kodma the Torah, maybe you are violating one of the 24 books of the Tanakh. 24 books, you know. 5 Chumashim, 8 Nevi'im, 4 Nevi'im Rishonim, and 4 Nevi'im Achronim is 8. 5 and 8 is 13. All you need is 11 more. 11 and Kesuvim, 5 Megillas and 6 other Sfarim. Iyov, Divrei Hayomim, Ezra Nehemiah, you know, Mishlei. So you have 24. When the Bnei Yisrael did the Egel, that was in the Chumash Shmos. They said, Egel the Kechi Yisrael, these 13, and they made 13 golden calves. These Egel the Kechi, these are the gods Yisrael who took you out of Mitzrayim. So they're Kofer in Geula of Hashem. And Rabbi side, Chumash Shmos is called Sefer HaGeula. Reish is Sefer HaYetzirah, or Bria. Second one is Sefer HaGeula, talks about Geula from Mitzrayim. Third one is Mishnah Torah. Torah's Kohanim, Leviticus, the story about Levi, Kohanim and Levim. Then it calls Midbar, which we're in now, is Sefer Pikudim, because they start out right away with the counting. And this last one is called Mishnah Torah Repetition. So there's the names of the Sefer Shmos and Sefer HaGeula. And in Shmos, Hashem took you didn't out of Mitzrayim. And they say, Eila l'kecha Yisrael, he took you out of Mitzrayim. This is your Goel, not Hashem. The Kofer in Geula. So, Egel is a kfira in Geula. That's why every source that comes to Klal Yisrael is 1/24 of the Egel, which is in Sefer HaGeula. And they said, Egel, they say, not Hashem, these are the idols to Kriyam. It's very hard to ask to imagine a Dor Deya like that should believe in a calf. It's very deep, this whole subject. Remember, the Egyptians believed in sheep. In fact, we went out in the month of Nisan where the astrological sign is a sheep. What is it called in Latin? Not Taurus, maybe it's called, no, it's called sheep, it's called Aries. That's Nisan. And we took their god, we tied it up, and the guy said, what are you going to do with it? We're going to kill him. Kill him. Yeah, you know what else, mister? We're going to burn him. Burn him, yeah. You know what else? We're going to eat him. Eat him? Mm-hmm. You know what else? We're going to take the blood and smear it on the wall. Now, what are you going to say about that, Mr. Mitzri? Shem made the most powerful nation on earth helpless. That's nice. When Hashem wants to make a nation helpless, they're helpless. Look what happened here in 9/11. United States, 3-4 airliners, no one knows. No Air Force to stop them. It has to happen before the Strategic Air Command gets involved. If Hashem wants something to happen, it's going to happen, and you can't. You just, he'll make you that you turn the other way. You're not noticing it. 19 terrorists destroyed the biggest building on earth. the world financial center. And by the way, we're now Bein HaMetzorim between Shavuos Tammuz and Tisha B'Av, which is called, the world calls it 3 weeks. Gemara doesn't call it 3 weeks, or the Medrash or the Shulchan Aruch, no one calls it 3 weeks because it's not true. And Chazal always are emes, because Shavuos Tammuz to Tisha B'Av is 22 days. It's 13 and 9. 22 days, not 21. So it's called Bein HaMetzorim. You know that Tisha B'Av is 9/11? Tisha, 11, because the 12th month is Elul. Tisha B'Av is 9/11. First base, so Moshe, they smashed the luchos on Tisha B'Av. No, the Meraglim came back on Tisha B'Av, and they were crying. There's giants there. He says, okay, you're going to have something to cry about for the next 3,000 years. And they stayed in the Midbar 39 years, because for every 1 day they stayed over there. Tisha B'Av is 9/11. That's going to happen in 3 weeks. 9/11. And Gorash Sfarad, Tisha B'Av, 1492, 9/11. First base of Mikdash, 9/11. Tisha B'Av. Second base of Mikdash, 9/11. First World War, it was in 9/11, 1914. And there was 2 world wars, but the second one is because of the first, you know that. So the world wars started on 9/11. And then we had this thing that happened 10 years ago, 9/11. From that day on, the world is totally different. The Muslims have taken over and controlled the entire world. It says in Obadiah, the first clustering, that at the end of time, after Zayomim, after Edom, after Yishmael, after Edom, after Amalek, maybe the Nazis, then comes Yishmael, will have the last enemy of Israel is Yishmael. And it says in Obadiah that Edom will defeat Yishmael. And then Edom will be destroyed. Because we don't forget the Middle Ages. They were the terrorists in the Middle Ages. They took a sword with a handle on top, they held it by the blade, they stuck it in your face, the Christians. They said to every Jew, in hoc signe vinces. In this sign we conquer. Either you accept Christianity or we cut your head off. That's terrorism! So they're getting the same treatment right now. So Edom will destroy Yishmael, and then Edom will be destroyed. That day is coming very quickly. Because it says the last battle was Yishmael. How long will it take? Another day, another week, another year? We have no idea. But it says in last week's Torah that what's going to be terrible for the world. And sure, I hope. And every Jewish establishment that's not up here Torah will disappear, vanish. All right, let's go further. Count them. Because we lost so many people. Let's have another count. Ben Esn Shon of Amalek from 10 years and older, the base of Osam, according to the Shevet. You call Yosef, Tzova, Yisrael, everyone who can go out to war in Yisrael from 20 to 60. Vidaber Moshe Elazar Cohen, Osam, and Moshe and Elazar spoke to them, Ba'avos Moab, and the field, the plains of Moab, which is on the right side of Eretz Yisrael. Al Yarden Yerecha Lemor. Yarden, the whole Yerach. Even though Yerecha is Ches and Yerach is a Chav, but it means the whole side, phonetic relationship from Har Hermon all the way down to Eilat. That side is not Yericho, that's one city. Yerach, the whole side, the right east bank of the Yarden. Yarden Yerecha, because 2.5 Shvatim got the right side. On Yarden Yerecha, you mean they didn't just stay near Yericho. They went all the way the whole 250 miles, straight down. 2.5 Shvatim got. So, you meant Espen Shon of Amala from 20 years and older, and they counted them. They counted Ruvain, and then one of the families, Ruvain, is called Chanoch, therefore it's called the Ha-Nechochi, the Chanochis. Then it says the Palu, Mishpah's Ha-Palui, the Ha-Chetzroni, Karmi, Ha-Karmi. You know why Hashem did that? He put his name, Hey Yud, Hey on one side, Yud on the other side, on every single family in Klal Yisrael of all the 12 Shvatim, to testify to the world that these women were not touched by the Egyptians. Their children all really belong to them. And I, Hashem, testified to that. I, Hashem, testified to that. That these are legitimate children of that Shevet. B'nei Aliyah, well then you get to Eila Mishpachos HaRuvaini. Then you get to B'nei Aliyah of Nemuel V'dosim Aviron, Who doesn't Aviram? That he is doesn't Aviram. Krue ha'eda, but we read it kriye. A vav is written, a yud we write it. Vav yud vai. Woe that they had two such Rishoyim and Ruvain. Ashehitzu, like in he English, Yiddish. Heat hits. They inflamed the Bnei Yisrael. Al Moshe al Aaron against Moshe Aaron, Ba'adas Korach in this big uprising of the Korach. Ba'ad Sosam al Hashem when he got them organized against Hashem. Why you say who doesn't be? Why don't you say Haim doesn't be? And says no, they were equal shoyim. Who? That's one concept. They were just the hated, even the equal. Who doesn't Aviram? That's one unit. Doesn't Aviram. Just like it says who Moshe Aaron. Moshe Aaron the equal tzaddikim. It says in one place who Moshe Aaron. That couple called Moshe Aaron. This couple called doesn't Aviram. And then it says, B'nei Korach lo meisu. The children of Korach didn't die. Why don't you say, B'nei Korach chayu? Because they didn't live. But they went with their father into Gehenna. But they didn't die, but they didn't live. So the answer is like this. Rashi said, he had 10 children. 3 of them survived. Hashem put them in Gehenna. Mokum gavoa beGehenna, a high place in Gehenna. Didn't burn so much. What does that mean? What does it mean, high place? Says my father, he made them live in a high place in Gehenna, which is Olam Hazeh, a very long life of misery. Thus haste, Makom Gavoa beGehenna. In this world, he didn't let them die. He tortured them for years and years and years. But they lived. And these 3 sons of Korach, Osov and Yosef and Elkanah, they wrote Tehillim. And Tehillim, they composed things that David put in Tehillim. 12 different Mizmorim. 42, Mizmor number 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, and 49. There's 8 right there, and there's 4 more. Mem Beis, Mem Gimel, I think Mem Dalet, Mem Hey, Mem Zayin. There was 12 things they wrote. And also, when you see in Tehillim sometimes Asaf, he also wrote 12. So, most beautiful Tehillim you could imagine. Every Monday morning we say, Hayom Yom Shein V'Shavos Mizmor Asaf. One of the sons was Mizmor L'Bnei Shivas L'Bnei Korach. Mizmor L'Bnei Korach, Monday morning. So you see, the sons of Korah, 3 of them out of the 10 survived. You want to know where I found all this? Look at Hirsch, on Tillim, Mem Beis, but the first one where Korah was mentioned. B'nei Korah. He tells you, Elkanah, Osov, Avi Yosef, 3 sons of Korah. Mokum Gevor Behen. We have, interesting, he brings down many Rishoyim who either they did Tshuva, or Magaya, or the children became good. Here's Korach's children. And eventually, Korach's 16th Dar. 16th Dar was Shmuel HaNavi. Some bad people, the children were very good. For instance, Sancheirav, Shmai Bavtalia, and the great-grandchildren. B'nei Banim Shel Haman Limdu Torah B'Yerushalayim. Nebuzaradon became a ger. Niron Keser became a ger, and his child became a mayor. Niron, Ner, Rab Meir Ben Lanes. He was the son of Niron, Ner, Rab Meir. Nebuzaradon, Sancheirav, had Shmai Bavtalia, B'nei Banim Shel Haman. It's interesting, isn't it? Isn't it interesting? Even Bilam couldn't say anything bad against All Yisrael. He knew the truth, but he was hired to curse. He was a hired hand. He's not fooled. He's wicked, he's immoral, he's a pervert, he's a Eisvorf. He didn't write on a chamar, he wrote on a Osson, female donkey. Obviously, you know what they did together. He was a Eisvorf, a manuvel, a wretched, low soul, but he was the greatest genius in the world amongst Goyim. He Yodea Das Elyon, but he was a pervert. So why did God give the power of Nevuah to a pervert? It's because at the end of time, the Goyim could say to Hashem, listen Hashem, come on. If we had someone like Moshe Rabbeinu, and Yirmiyahu and Yechezkel, we'd be great too. He says, I gave you someone equal to Moshe. And look what he did, the pervert. Wow. So intellectual means nothing. How good are you as a person? Reish is Chochmah. It's not Niwan HaTorah. It's Yiras Hashem. Look at Chovos HaLevavos, every page. The Iker's thing is not your external malbush or action. It's only what kind of person are you? Are you a man where a yes is a yes and a no is a no? When you get to Olam Haba, what's the first question they ask you? Did you learn Torah? That's not the first question. Were you Gil Arayu? Not the first question. Mechal Shabbos? Not the first question. Did you learn? Did you keep kosher? Did you put it on film? No way. Nothing. What about Avodah Zarah? No, that's not the first question. First question, Mister, were you a crook? No soso benosatu be'emuno. Are you honest? Totally, intellectually, and physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and business-wise? Is your yes a yes and a no a no? Do you cheat, lie, and steal? Do you sign stuff that's not right? Do you tell someone, tell them I'm not home? You do what are you honest? No soso benosatu. Do you give and take in this world honestly? Are you sincere? Is your word a word? First question, that is. And if you can't answer it right, they send you to rehab. It's called Gehenna. When you come out of there, they ask you the second question. Come out to eat the Torah. Did you learn Torah every day a little bit? Good. 5 minutes a day? Very good. So we give you Gan Eden, open the door, take a shmek. Enough! You only gave me 5 minutes, I'll give you 5 minutes. Hey, it's me to connect with me, you know? And then they ask you the third question. So Pizza of Yeshua, were you waiting for Mashiach? You were? How come you got 5 homes? $5 million, $3.5 million, $2.5 million, $1 million, $7 million, and a boat, and a this, and a that? Oh, you waiting for Mashiach? Really? Then he asks the 3 other questions. It's not for the average person. Did you learn Nister? It's for the other people. But the 3 main questions they ask you is that. First of all, were you a Ganav? That's what Hashem wants to know. And what does he have to ask you? He knows anyhow. He wants you to say, you can't lie over there in the Olam Hamas. You have to say yes. Well, you gotta be fixed. We have a place where it's called a dry cleaner. We steam you a little. Then maybe you come back clean. He does not like Ganovim, steal, cheats, thieves, and lies. Lies doesn't like that. It bothers him an awful lot. Bilam never lied one time, ever. Sheker, he was into a very bad thing, but Sheker not. Therefore, Bilam, last week said to him, was scrupulously honest he was honest, man. Therefore, he's zoche that we say every single day, Ma tova olecha Yaakov mishkan usecha Yisrael. That's what he said. His koyach hadibor, he did not corrupt. Therefore, we use his koyach hadibor, Ma tova olecha Yaakov mishkan usecha Yisrael. 6 words. Like Shema Yisrael, Hashem HaKadosh, Hashem HaKadosh, 6 words. He said, Ma tova olecha Yaakov mishkan usecha Yisrael. You say it every day. Well, how can you say a word from a manuvel, low life? Hashem put it in his mouth. He's not a manuvel, he's just a pipe through which water runs. He has no control of what he's doing. Hashem made it there, so he's just a robot. That's why when you marry off your daughter, you put your hand over her head at the badek and you say, Achosenu, our daughter, sister, you shall be to the thousands and the millions. Your children should have millions. Who said that? A low life. Lavan. When Rivka was taken by Eliezer, he said, also Hashem put it in his mouth. But since he gave her a bracha, and this Oizvorf, this lowlife, this wretched soul, who was the Zayde, the Saba of Klal Yisrael, like it or not, he was the grandfather of all 12 Shvatim, that little good that he put into Rivka, who had Yaakov and Esau, and Yaakov had 12 Shvatim, that had to get burnt out in Mitzrayim for 210 years. That's why it's called B'kur HaBarzel. Bilha, Rachel, Zilpa, Leah. That little good that he put in has to be burnt out. We don't want nothing from him. How to get that traits, evil traits of love, burnt out in 210 years. Okay, Rabbi, let's finish up the parsha here now with they ended up after the count with 600 and 1,700 and 601,730. But 40 years ago, it was 605,550. Subtract the two numbers, you get 1820 difference. So you say, no, so 1820, yes, so. Rabbi side is the most significant number you could ever imagine. Yud K, Vav K in all of Tanakh occurs 1,820 times. So you say, okay, a coincidence. But I'm going to show you three things. It's not a coincidence. Bereshis, the first word in the Torah, to write out B'miloi, Beis Yud Sof. Reish Yud Shin. Aleph Lamed Fei. Shin Yud Nun. Yud Vav Daled. Sof Tov Aleph Vav comes out 1820. Also, the Birchas Kohanim, the last three words equal 1820. Ishmerecha, Vichunecha, Shalom is 1820. Three. I'll give you a fourth one. Every word of Torah can be described to explain ayin panim, 70 ways to explain everything. Every word of the Torah is another explanation of God's name. So Yud Kei Vav Kei 26 times 70 is 1820. So it's not just a simple number. And 182 added together is 11. 101 is 2. The whole world is only for Yisrael and Hashem. Hey, you know, Vilna Gaon says the first word of the Torah, Bereshis, Rosh Hashanah, Bereshona, Ro'o, Elokim, Sheyakablu, Yisrael, Torah. That's why you made the world. The whole thing is that there should be an Am Hashem that recognizes him, that everything else is worthwhile. 1820. 1, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1 and 1 is 2. It's only between us and Hashem. If we're good, the whole world benefits. We're bad, the world suffers. Ein parani is bala olam. Ella b'shvil Yisrael. No tsaras come to this world anywhere, only because of us. So when the Muslims said that the Jews were in the plan to destroy 9/11, the Twin Towers in New York, the Jews were behind it, like a bunch of nonsense, but it's true. Al pi hashkaf, it's true. Yisrael. Ein paranios. There's no tsaras. Ella b'shvil Yisrael. Yeah, there were God's shluchim to say that. But it's true. If we're good, the whole world benefits. If we're bad, the whole world suffers. We have an awesome obligation. All right, Rabbi, I think we're finished now. We hope to see you next week. And tune us, if you want to hear a daily shir, go to Kol Halashon. And there's a number all over the United States and in Israel and in South America and in Europe and Asia, all over. They have, 150, 200 different Magid Shir in 7 different languages, Farsi and Spanish and everything, and in Hebrew, Yiddish and English and everything, and every subject, Chumash and Tanakh and Musar and Chasidus and everything. So, I speak in English every single day on Kol HaLashon. When you get to Kol HaLashon, you dial that number, 646-779-9700. Then when the guy starts speaking, you hit 11101. That's me. 11101, and you get me every single day a different shir. This Torah Anytime is only once a week. That is every single day. Rabbi, sei gesund und stark. Have a good life. I'll see you next week. Shvuah Tov.